Welcome to Analects of Wisdom, where timeless truths unfold to illuminate your spiritual path. Today, we set sail on the vast ocean of the Lankavatara Sutra, a keystone in Mahayana Buddhism and a guiding lantern for the Zen tradition. Our journey will be thorough and far-reaching, evoking images of an ancient shoreline in Lanka, where, legend tells us, the Buddha revealed these powerful teachings to his disciple, Mahamati. Let us travel through this sacred text with open minds and hearts, uncovering truths that reverberate across the centuries and continue to shape our lives today. Tradition says that the Lankavatara Sutra was preached on Mount Malaya, near the coast of Lanka, modern-day Sri Lanka. This region was historically a melting pot of cultures, spiritual teachings and commerce, which naturally facilitated rich dialogues and the cross-pollination of new ideas. In this setting, the Buddha's address on the nature of the mind and reality took root, influencing a spectrum of schools, from Indian Yogacara to Chinese and Japanese Zen. Influence on Zen and Cittamatra. Zen, Chan, Buddhism. The Zen school treasures direct insight into the nature of reality, often stressing meditation, dhyana, and personal experience over reliance on conceptual understanding alone. Legend has it that Bodhidharma, the semi-mythical founder of Zen in China, carried the Lankavatara Sutra with him, underscoring its critical role in shaping early Zen thought. Yogacara, Cittamatra, mind only. The sutra's emphasis on consciousness, mind, as the source of all phenomena, directly aligns with Yogacara perspectives. By examining how the mind perceives, labels, and projects reality, practitioners gain insight into the illusory boundaries we draw between self and other. The Lankavatara Sutra spans a wide range of teachings, but several core ideas appear throughout its pages. Mind-only philosophy, Cittamatra. The world is shaped by consciousness and mental constructs. Non-duality. Distinctions between subject and object are ultimately empty. Buddha nature. The luminous potential for awakening resides within each living being. Overcoming conceptual thought. Attachment to words, labels, and abstractions obstructs direct realization. On the mind's power to shape reality. Mahamati, kneeling with palms joined, addresses the Buddha. O Blessed One, you have declared that the manifold worlds arise from the mind alone. Yet we perceive mountains, oceans, and countless beings as though they exist apart from our mental processes. How shall we reconcile our experience of external reality with your teaching that it is mind-made? The Buddha, radiating compassion, replies, Mahamati, the world that you see, solid and external as it may appear, arises from the seeds of consciousness stored deep within you. Like an artist painting a landscape on a canvas, your mind projects outward what is already seeded within. Yet do not misunderstand. This is not to negate the world nor the people in it, but rather to affirm your capacity for transformation and liberation. Observe the painter who can depict serene meadows or tumultuous storms simply by changing colors and brushstrokes. In the same way, when your mind shifts from ignorance to wisdom, your perception of reality transforms. Recognizing this, you free yourself from the rigid belief that you are bound by unchangeable externals. Instead, you awaken to the profound interplay between mind and manifestation. Seeds of consciousness. Bijas. In Yogacara, teachings, seeds, bijas, represent latent tendencies in the storehouse consciousness, alaya vijnana. These seeds ripen into experiences, forming what we call the world. Artistry of the mind. This analogy with a painter underscores our creative potential. What we see is not an imposed illusion, but a co-creation where perception and external stimulus interweave. Transformative potential. If the world is partly mind-crafted, then understanding our own mind yields the power to shift our experience from suffering to awakening. Mahamati, pressing further with a serene determination. Blessed One, though I now grasp this teaching intellectually, I find that my daily experiences still feel overwhelmingly real and external. How may I cultivate a deeper realization beyond words and concepts? The Buddha offers guidance in a gentle tone. Mahamati, intellectual understanding is a valuable beginning, but it must flow into direct practice. Engage in quiet contemplation. Observe the interplay of your senses and thoughts. In the calm of meditative inquiry, question each perception. Is this object truly separate from my mind, or does it arise interdependently, shaped by my cognition and memory? As you persist, you will sense the gap between your mental projections and the luminous awareness in which they appear. This gap is not a void of nihilism. Rather, it is the opening through which the true nature of reality reveals itself. Merge your intellect with heartfelt practice, and insight will dawn like the rising sun over the ocean, dispelling the darkness of ignorance. Bridging theory and practice. The Buddha's reply highlights the difference between reading about non-duality and experiencing it. Meditative introspection, watching thoughts come and go, allows us to see how the mind weaves the tapestry of perceived reality. Sensing the gap. The gap references that subtle space in mindfulness practice where you notice how a thought or emotion arises before you label it as good or bad. This recognition loosens the grip of habitual patterns. Beyond nihilism. The sutra insists that recognizing the mind-made nature of phenomena does not leave us adrift. Rather, it frees us to respond with clarity, compassion, and wisdom. Mahamati again bows deeply. Lord, there remains the matter of dualistic thinking, good and evil, self and other, existence and non-existence. I see these everywhere, dividing my mind into fragments. How shall I transcend these stubborn dualities? The Buddha's voice resonates with loving firmness. Mahamati, dualities arise from ignorance of the mind's seamless nature. Observe how night is defined in contrast to day, and yet neither can stand without reference to the other. Likewise, you perceive a self only by distinguishing it from what is not self. But when you look closer, the boundaries soften. The wave that appears separate from the ocean is never truly apart from the vast waters. So too, all pairs of opposites dissolve when you see their interdependence. In recognizing this, you rest in non-duality, free from the restless tides of attachment and aversion. Non-duality does not mean uniformity. It means perceiving the unity beneath apparent differences. Relative versus absolute. The Buddha acknowledges that in daily life, dualities function in a relative sense. Day-night, hot-cold. Yet at the ultimate level, these distinctions lack independent self-nature. Interdependence. Yogacara and the Lankavatara Sutra highlight interdependent origination. Nothing exists in isolation. Freedom in non-duality. Seeing beyond dualities cultivates a spaciousness in which compassion and empathy naturally blossom. On language and conceptual traps. Mahamati's eyes alight with new curiosity. O Tathagata, if all distinctions are provisional, then what of the words and concepts we use to communicate the Dharma? Are we not merely piling one illusion atop another? The Buddha raises a hand as if calming the ripples on a pond. Mahamati, words are fingers pointing to the moon. They are not the moon itself. Concepts and doctrines serve as skillful means, guiding the aspirant toward direct insight. Yet clinging to words is like clutching the signpost and never traveling the road. Reflect on how a physician uses various remedies according to the patient's condition. These medicines may differ, but the aim is the same: healing. Similarly, The Dharma employs language, analogies and practices in different ways to treat the diverse afflictions of beings. Ultimately, one must set aside the raft when reaching the far shore. Do not mistake the raft for the shore. Role of language. Language in Buddhism is recognized as provisional, helpful, but inherently limited. True realization occurs beyond verbal formulation. Skillful means, upaya. The Lankavatara Sutra emphasizes how different teachings fit different temperaments. There is no single absolute method. What matters is liberation. Don't cling to the raft. A classic Buddhist metaphor, reminding us that the teachings are the vehicle, not the destination. Buddha nature and luminous emptiness. Mahamati humbly kneels closer, voice subdued. Lord, beyond dualities and words, you speak of the inherent Buddha nature in each sentient being. How can I recognize this luminous essence within my own heart? The Buddha looks upon Mahamati with profound tenderness. Mahamati, this Buddha nature is like a hidden jewel wrapped in cloth. Though it may be concealed by layers of ignorance, it remains untouched in its brilliance. Let your mind rest in quiet equipoise, neither grasping nor rejecting. As your conceptual thinking subsides, you will sense a natural clarity, an unconditioned awareness that illuminates all experiences without being stained by them. This is your true inheritance, the radiant emptiness that pervades everything. Regard it well, for in tasting this luminous nature, you will know that the journey to awakening is not about acquiring something new, but about unveiling what has always been. Buddha nature, Tathagatagarbha, a central Mahayana concept indicating that every being carries the seed of awakening. Hidden jewel. This metaphor appears frequently in Mahayana texts, illustrating how ignorance veils innate wisdom. Direct recognition. Through meditative insight, the practitioner perceives this pure awareness, gradually letting go of mental obscurations. From theory to living experience. The Lankavatara Sutra is not a purely philosophical treatise. It is a living text encouraging personal transformation. While it delves into nuanced doctrinal matters like the 8 consciousnesses, including the storehouse consciousness, its ultimate aim is to spark a direct realization of reality's true nature. Challenge to the ego. By dismantling the notion of a permanent self and external reality, the sutra confronts our habitual clinging. This is not to undermine our sense of identity, but to encourage fluidity and compassion grounded in interdependent wisdom. Syncretic echoes. The sutra's ideas reverberate through other Mahayana classics like the Heart Sutra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, and the Diamond Sutra, all conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion. Reading the Lankavatara Sutra alongside these texts enriches one's understanding of Mahayana thought. In daily life, pause to notice how a seemingly external event triggers thoughts, emotions, and stories in your mind. For instance, when stuck in traffic, examine whether the stress arises from the cars themselves or from your impatience, judgments, and internal commentary. Cultivate the recognition that experience is deeply shaped by mental processes. Reframing conflict. During disagreements, imagine how the other person's words might be rooted in their own mental seeds, past experiences, fears, or unmet needs. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it can soften the reactive stance and open space for empathy. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this situation, and is that story necessarily the truth? Cultivating non-dual awareness. Sit quietly and label your sensory experiences. Sound, thought, pressure, heat. Then drop the labels and simply observe the flux of sensations. Notice how quickly the mind tries to categorize. Witness how clinging to dualities like pleasant, unpleasant intensifies suffering. Seeing beyond them fosters equanimity. Gently ask yourself, what is aware of my thoughts, feelings, and perceptions? Let the inquiry guide you toward the quiet, luminous presence that is aware yet untouched. I return to this question whenever you feel overwhelmed. It reconnects you to the space of awareness that underlies temporary storms of emotion. In the broader scope of the Lankavatara Sutra, the Buddha interacts with not only Mahamati, but also various bodhisattvas who appear to clarify subtle points. Below are a few more sample excerpts to offer a window into these broader dialogues. Excerpt: On the Storehouse Consciousness, Alaya Vijnana. A bodhisattva named Subhuti arises and speaks. Blessed One, you describe the Alaya Vijnana as a great ocean holding the seeds of all experiences. Yet how does one truly see into this ocean and purify it of karmic impressions? The Buddha responds. Subhuti, the Alaya Vijnana, is neither to be clung to as a permanent self nor dismissed as mere emptiness. Like the ocean, it contains myriad currents, yet remains one body of water. Through deep meditation and wisdom, you learn to discern how these karmic currents arise and subside, leaving behind patterns in consciousness. As you cultivate insight, the waves of habitual ignorance calm, revealing the still depths of mind. Indeed, the very waves that once obscured your view become the catalyst for awakening, for they turn you back to investigate the mind's nature. Embrace this ocean with clarity, and it becomes a wellspring of compassion rather than a source of confusion. On compassionate action. Another bodhisattva, Prajnaparamita, addresses the assembly. World-honored one, if all phenomena are mind-made and inherently empty, how shall we cultivate compassion in our everyday lives? The Buddha replies with unwavering certainty. Prajnaparamita recognized that the same luminous mind animates every being. When you see another in pain, you are witnessing the shared ocean of consciousness stirred by karma and conditioning. By awakening to non-duality, you understand that helping another is not a separate act, it is healing a part of yourself. Compassion flows naturally when you know the unity beneath apparent divisions. Yet do not merely abide in emptiness. Let emptiness inform your actions so that you skillfully relieve suffering without attachment to outcome. This union of wisdom and compassion is the hallmark of the true bodhisattva path. Practical application: deepening the path. During seated meditation, visualize your mind as a vast ocean. Each thought or emotion is a wave. Notice how waves arise, form peaks, and then dissolve back into the water. Realize that the essence, pure awareness, remains unaltered beneath them. This supports the release of fixed identities and fosters a gentler response to emotional turbulence. If you see a friend or colleague struggling, pause your internal commentary and recognize the shared consciousness at work. Offer help or empathy from that sense of unity rather than separation. This approach often diffuses tension as genuine understanding emerges from seeing the other as not other. The Lankavatara Sutra encourages a middle path, one that neither reifies the world as absolute reality nor dismisses it as non-existent. Ask yourself, how can I honor the relative needs of life, like relationships, work, and social justice, while remembering the ultimate emptiness that unites all things? From this balanced perspective, one can engage wholeheartedly without clinging to results, reducing anxiety and burnout. The journey through the Lankavatara Sutra is, in many ways, a journey into the depths of our own minds. From the shore of Lanka to the hustle of modern life, the messages remain strikingly relevant. Mind shapes reality. This teaching empowers us to transform our perceptions through mindfulness and compassion. Transcend dualities. By looking beyond rigid labels, we discover a vast field of freedom and possibility. Embrace Buddha nature. The radiant emptiness within each of us is an ever-present invitation to awaken. In times of stress, confusion, or conflict, recall the Buddha's analogy of the painter. Ask yourself, what colors am I using on the canvas of my mind right now? Am I aware that I can choose new colors? Such simple contemplations can unlock a deeper understanding of life's fluidity. We close with a final excerpt from the sutra's broader message, paraphrased to capture its essence. When, through right insight and direct experience, you see that all things are projections of mind, you do not fall into nihilism or eternalism. You discover freedom in the seamless nature of existence, and from that freedom, boundless compassion springs forth. This is the path walked by the wise, dispelling the darkness of ignorance with the light of profound understanding. May these expanded dialogues, reflections, and practical insights from the Lankavatara Sutra serve as a beacon on your spiritual path. Remember that the ultimate teacher resides within your direct experience. These words are but guiding arrows, pointing back to the true source, your own mind. Embrace the insights, integrate them in your life, and let the sutra's wisdom unveil the inexhaustible treasure of awakening that lies at your core. Thank you for joining Lects of Wisdom. We hope this detailed journey into the Lankavatara Sutra has enriched your understanding. May the transformative power of these teachings illuminate every step you take, fostering clarity, kindness, and inner peace. Continue to explore, reflect, and practice, allowing the sutra's timeless wisdom to unfold within you, guiding you toward the boundless freedom that is your birthright.